Community is comprised of individuals who have come together because they share something in common. Whether that something be education, interests, relations, or hobbies, all communities have a culture. Today, I want to talk about 3 communities of gaming and their cultures. The board and card game community enjoys the company of other people gathered around a table.
Games can be a good venue to get to know people who think, look, or act quite different from yourself, but actually can get to know them deeper as people and start to learn to be with all types of folks and realize that, as fundamental humans, we all have some good value. We have some extremely hardline conservatives and extremely liberal liberals, and we also have people from different faith backgrounds, different gender ideologies and identities, and a lot of different elements in our melting pot, but they all tend to come together and have quality time over games. And I mean, occasionally it does lead to some challenging conversations, particularly around election times or other heated times in our society, but people get to learn to grow up, be more adult, and they also kind of already know from playing together that these are their friends who are reasonable people, and it usually can help them diffuse and look at things through a different lens. And when not, then also I get to be up here and help make peace, as do some of the other folks who are kind of geared as peacemakers.
The video game community enjoys both fierce and casual competitiveness. Whether you want to climb to your game's highest rank or hop on for a game or two, the Esports Club at Fort Hays has you covered.
Esports Club came around in maybe around 2018, 2019. It was a spin-off of a regular technology club on campus. And that club would get together to play video games by bringing all their computers together, because the internet wasn't that great, and to play games together, you had to bring your computers to the same place. So that was an interesting social environment. You couldn't just jump online and meet your friends online and play. So you had to have physical, real life, in-person friends. And you'd go take all your computers to somebody's basement or something, set them up, and that's how you played computer games with your friends. Around those days, of course, early 2000s, you started getting console games. So console games were also a way to play games with friends, and they just come over to your house and you do that. And that was kind of an interesting social environment. I've never been really great at games, but I've enjoyed the time I've spent with them. And so as I was drawn in, was just kind of I was the faculty sponsor for the technology club, and then they kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger because of the gaming environment. And so as a lot of students came and became more involved with gaming, the gaming became so big that they just spun it off as its own club. And they just invited me to be sponsor of that club as well. And so it kind of grew itself based on student interest, and it's been run by students. But they need a faculty sponsor to kind of manage the long-term continuity. Every once in a while, some student would buy me a game and say, "Hey, you got to play this game with us." And so I kind of got absorbed into the gaming community. And
Tabletop role-playing games are a growing hobby that encourages creativity and communication with your group as your custom-made characters interact with the world made by the game master.
Oh, I think the appeal is the opportunity for imagination, right? That the thing, and as a guy in the middle of his life, right? I see myself as very distant from the childhood version of myself who could play very spontaneously and very easily, and play in imagination is something that I find, at least, and I find my colleagues at the university have trouble getting the opportunity to do. It's not a thing that happens naturally. Tabletop RPG really, it scratches that part of the brain that I think a lot of adult people don't even realize that they need to have scratched.
Traditional dice. I didn't get it.
So if I were going to give advice, I would say buy a book and look at it. there's a recent book I read by a YouTuber called Gamer Geek, and she is mentioning in this book about the concept of play and how anything you do with a game is playing that game. That is, if you just buy a book and you read through that book and you have fun reading through that book, count that as playing a game. Like, give yourself a little bonus. I played the game, even if your version of playing the game is thumbing through a book and having fun imagining what it would be like to get together with friends, right? I guess the advice I would give somebody who wanted to get into this is don't think you've got to do X, Y, and Z before you get into it. Read about it, have fun. If you watch somebody's YouTube series or you listen to somebody's podcast, that's getting into the game, right? Even if you're not at the table and you're just listening to somebody else. So the bar is very low, right? The entry bar is super, super low when you think of it that way. And so do that. Jump in and find out what it's about.
Games are an easy way to get to know a person, then another person, and another person, until you finally have a community.